If you ask an employee, do ERP makes life easier of the employee or does it make it more difficult?
They take ERP as surveillance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Track and trace.
What is that initial feedback of the employee that comes when a company decides to implement ERP?
Ma'am, please keep these talks to yourself. It's about the fear of people. It hit me hard when the user experience are not friendly enough. People reluctant to adopt that software. So I have read somewhere that ERP is sold in boardrooms but judged on the shop floor. We are not discussing the problem. Clicking the screen button is not training. It's a milestone in the ERP implementation phase. And the real ground realities only know by the shop floor personnel and the middle management.
If training is not done well, that is also that is also an important reason of people hating ERP.
Out of 100, 1 or 2 people will be doing the UAT with full passion.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome back to another podcast of Impliway. So ERP systems are supposed to make life easier. But if you ask an employee, do ERP makes life easier of the employee or does it make it more difficult? So today we are here with Miss Andleeb to discuss this, with her experience. So thank you so much, Miss Andleeb, for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you so much, Hussain, for having me here. It is glad to have discussed this topic here.
So, Miss Andleeb, just for the starters, I would like to request you to, introduce yourself and tell us about your experiences, about, where have you been and how was your journey and what kind of experience do you have with all the implementations that you've done?
I'm lead ERP consultant, or more specifically, lead SAP consultant. I have been to the different SAP implementations journey across different industry sector, whether it's manufacturing, it's automotive, and it's pharmaceutical industries, the regulated ones. So I have seen audiences fear ERPs, but there are also the people I have seen where they take ERP as a emerging software. So as far as my journey is concerned, I have not started as a SAP consultant. I have started my journey as a production planning executive. But there was a transformation in my first organization. Digital transformation for S4HANA, SAP S4HANA is ongoing. So I got to know about SAP from there. I was amazed, the consultant life, the flexible journey. I get SAP environment from there. Then after 1.5 years after completing my MBA in supply chain management, I thought that I should take a flexible turnover to the flexible environment where I can look after my family and also not to cut off from my professional journey. So for that, I jumped to the SAP implementation. Back in 2020, I started my SAP consulting journey, one of the largest implementation project RISE with SAP S4HANA. I have been to the different cloud projects and on-prem projects, different audiences.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. Andleeb, for sharing your experience with us. So, quickly, if you could tell us with your experience about, the thing that comes from an employee perspective, what is that initial feedback or initial impression of the employee that comes when a company, decides to implement ERP?
Okay, so Hussain, being deployed on different projects as a consultant, I have got to know that there are 2 kinds of people. The one who loves to transform themselves, the one who have a fear of adopting the change. The reason why, basically, people fear about their job security. One of the main reasons, the job security. And the second one is basically, you can say, the process standardization or work overload when they are burdenized with work. And one more thing, when they are using when there is no software, people are working in silos. ERP is end-to-end integrated system, and they take ERP as surveillance.
Yeah.
track and trace.
Exactly.
The management, the ERP covered 5 whys: what, where, when, who, at what time. So people, I would say employee or user, fear that if I do one thing wrong, I would be getting tracked at every point, and my KPIs are basically keeping monitored. So that is one of the reason that when they hear ERP, that ERP is going to implement, they, oh my God. And one is the wow, other audience, the wow factor audience. We got to know something good on CV that is internationally being recognized.
Yes.
So I have been deployed on different projects. I have meet with two kinds of people. The happier one who goes with the ERP implementation and share their views, and the other one resistance to implement ERP.
Yeah, I mean, I do understand that ERP adds a transparency layer about what employee is doing what at what time and why is he doing it, and it just adds the transparency layer. So you're more, you could say you're more monitored, or you're more in front of the organization, in front of the leadership. You're very transparent. Your operations are very transparent. So in your experience, like, if I were to ask you that, like, why do employee hate ERP? Is it just about they feel being monitored, or is it about the adaptability, like the lack of knowledge of how easy their lives would be, or is it about they think that adding an ERP would rather add the burden to their workload? So like, what do you think through your experience, that what is the core reason that the employee hates ERP? Is it the ERP itself? One is, why do they hate ERP? And the follow-up question would be that, is it the ERP that they hate, or is it the way of the implementation that that they are not comfortable with?
The one thing that I would like to add, people don't take ERP as user-friendly, because for track and trace purpose, ERP follows a specific standard operating procedure according to the pre-described best practices. As every ERP has their own best practices, which are role-based and all that. So when you follow the standard operating procedure or best practices, there is no room for workarounds. So the workarounds you are doing in silos on Excel,
or maybe under the table,
you are not allowed to do. You need to depend on every other department or modules to follow that rule. If you post anything wrong on the Excel, you can correct it in the minute of time, in the second. But in ERP, you need to get back to the original, where the receipt or where any document has been originated from. You need to go step by step back to eliminate that problem. That causes users that we are not allowed to do a workaround.
Yeah, I mean, what I've understood is that when you implement an ERP in an organization, and especially in the kind of the organization which currently does not uses any kind of software, so after implementing ERP, the people are bound to follow the SAT process. Like, they cannot take shortcuts. They cannot just do workarounds. They cannot just leave it as it is. They have to follow what they're supposed to do. So this is one I do understand. But do you think, like you've mentioned, that a few ERPs, or probably most of the ERPs, are not very you could say very user-friendly, or not very welcoming in the beginning?
In the beginning, like, I will add my point here for the SAP journey. Is it specific to SAP journey? When SAP was first introduced, it was not user-friendly. Only a specialized person can understand the screen. The user experience is not user-friendly. You can say, when the user experience are not friendly enough, the people reluctant to adopt that softwares or any other processes. So one of the reason, as ERP evolved with the passage of time, SAP has been into S/4HANA with the GUI, global user interface, that people also reluctant to that. But when SAP shift to their UI on the web-based browser interface, people are more happy. I have seen users are not reluctant as they were earlier in the time that no, SAP is not user friendly. People are adopting it. The features, the usability, and it is also like we are all the time. We have a phone, we have a tablet, we have a user-friendly interface. So people want the same interface in the software also. So that's why ERP shifts their user experience to the web-based approach. So to get the audience connected, feel easily managed, and process will be covered. Like if you have any of the web-based browser, if you see there is a download button, the same download button is now icon, and the same spreadsheet icon is on the Fury-based approach in the SAP. So that's where I found ERP is not itself. Sometimes ERP is also the problem when it was in the old time, as I have shared with you. So that's the reason in the old time, user are reluctant to adopt it. And you also mentioned that like the Setia culture. So I have been to that environment. Like I have also heard when the requirement gathering are being finished, I have also heard, ma'am, please keep these talks to yourself, not to share with anyone. Man, we are working for the implementation or digital transformation for your project, and jotting down every point you have shared, and you are saying not to share with everyone.
Yes.
So that's the Setia culture. I have been to also being deployed on the international or national projects, and on the leading clients, not means like they are not the short local ones, or I have seen the fear of ERP implementation everywhere.
Yeah, I mean that's very important. So in a way, or so, the modern ERPs are working on making it better day by day. But what are your thoughts on how important is it to involve the HODs and the people working under those HODs and the people who actually are supposed to use ERP? Like how important is to involve them while not just while implementing it, but before implementing, like the discovery session and then the implementation and then the training session. So do you think like this could solve a bit of the problem?
Yeah, basically that's a very good question you have asked. I would say it is very, very important to know the foreground realities before the implementation phase started. You need to engage each and every stakeholder, whether it's from the top management or it's from the shop floor. So I have read somewhere that ERP is sold in boardrooms but judged on the shop floor.
Very well said.
I have read it, and it hit me hard that like yes, it's when we go to any discovery session or any ERP implement as a partner. So it is being discussed in the boardroom. The CFOs, the CEOs, and all the stakeholder HODs, departmental heads are there, but no one from the shop floor know that actually what is being discussed in that room. What we discuss, like if we are going to as a partner, we are not discussing the problem at that stage. We are discussing the cost benefit, the return on investment, and the process efficiency. And the real ground realities only know by the shop floor personnel and the middle management, which is taking care of day-to-day operations. So it's very, very important to engage each and every stakeholder before the implementation kickoff. And also I would mention one point, that when you are thinking to implement any of the ERP digital transformation, keeping in mind that first you should do your internal team meetings. That what in a gap you are facing, what pain points you are facing. Then when after discussing that pain points, when you will sit in the room, you know the foreground realities my users are facing. Users are basically your essential. If they adopt, like if you have discussed the ROI and cost benefit and the process efficiency, but when during the implementation your user is not accepting that change.
Exactly. So the customer should evaluate within their team that what are their vision, what are their capabilities, what are their goals, what do they expect from an ERP, and then only we can evaluate that is it the cost benefit, is it the operational benefit, what are we trying to achieve. Then only we can answer that which ERP can help you achieving your goal, and then only we can make it a success. So I believe that's a very, very good point, I believe. But so let's say if someone has included the team into the discovery sessions and whatnot, do you think that if training is not done well, that is also one like that is also an important reason of people hating ERP?
Yes, basically what, as a consultant perspective, it is our duties to collect the scenario based training. Clicking the screen button is not training. You need to do this. User manuals are there for that. But what happens against the standard process, this should also need to be covered in the training. You know, you have seen the haphazard after the go live activities. Why does happen? Because we have run the process on the standard processes. We don't share the scenario based. Consultant didn't ask, consultant is happy. Consultant is happy, oh, I have got the standard process to be run during I have cleared my UAT all green. No exceptional cases and no identified issues or gaps. It's a milestone in the ERP implementation phase. But what's missed here? The real problem starts after the go live, when you not tested the scenario. And as a consultant, I believe it's my responsibility, it's our responsibility to also share the scenario, to also say that please share your daily life problems or pain points which you are facing. So we can have a proper scenario based testing. Training is one of the major phases of the ERP implementation project. If you miss that, you miss the proper go live or proper go after go live activities. So being trained greatly, I have seen the greater trainings lead to the scenario based. If you see that all green, this is also a red signal that how the system is behaving all green. I have seen my project manager asking, oh my God, in the first go, you have got all green, why so?
So that's not a good sign.
That's not a good sign. There is some issue from there is some means
it's too good to be true, I believe.
It's also raises like there is a silent resistance. It's also raises the red flag that user are accepting what you are giving. Like I have also seen people are implementing what they implemented on the last client. They didn't cater the business scenario what they are saying. So keeping in mind all kinds of consultant and all kinds of user, training is one of the important phases, and it only requires, we have shrink the training time. The major time which needs to be catered during the training is basically on the requirement gathering. We two phases which I think is one of the major part of the implementation project. One is the good requirement gathering, and the second one is the training. How the good the requirement gathering is. The good results you get after the implementation.
Yes, definitely wonderful. And I couldn't agree more that the training is a very important part of and scenario based training especially, but because from a consultant point of view, we run happy flows and we run probably a few edge cases, but the real problem arises when the real scenarios are being tested, or there is real scenarios come to life, but then there is a there is a very important role from the customer's side as well, because the consultant might visit multiple times. They might push the customers or the team multiple times, but at times the team is very comfortable with what they are doing at the moment. So let's say they are very comfortable with Excel sheets, or they're very comfortable with the legacy systems that they have, or the processes that they are doing currently. They are very comfortable with it. They're very used to it. So they're very prone to accept the change. They're very prone to test it in a way that it should be tested. And ultimately what happens is you get the approvals from HOD, and then you move to the next department, and then you get the green signal, and then you move ahead. And when the real go live happens, so because the real scenarios were not tested at the time of when it was supposed to be tested, and then it becomes probably it comes as a failure, or again it comes as an employee hating the ERP. Yeah. So I think, in my humble opinion, I think that where it is very important for a consultant to have multiple training sessions, which is obviously scenario based, it is equally important from the customer side and their team to test it and to use it in parallel, instead of just using their Excel sheets and whatnot. So again, do you think that could be one of the problem, that they're very prone to accept the change? They are not very comfortable. They're comfortable with what they are doing. Like, do you think is it probably the main reason of, or one of the reason of them hating ERP?
Going further with your question, that out of 100 people, you can say one out of 100, 1 or 2 people will be doing the UAT with full passion.
Yeah,
you can say, like
the way it is supposed to be done.
The way it's supposed to be done. Mm-hmm. So it is very important for the customer stakeholders to look after, in the UAT sessions, when the UAT sessions are being conducted, who is supposed to sit in the UAT? The for end users who got the training, who are going to run the day-to-day operations, and no one from the upper and no one from the upper management is going to sit in the UAT. I have seen this kind of scenario. The consultant is getting, and the user are testing on their consultant and saying, please train yourself. This is UAT is not only the signal that you are succeeded. You need to I can say you need to train yourself for the scenario which you have faced in the past.
Yes.
So as you said about the Excel, who loves to means out of their comfort zone?
Yes.
Excel is their comfort zone.
Yes.
And legacy system is their comfort zone, where they have found the workaround with the passage of time, not with the only SAP Odoo and that. If standalone systems are also working, they know the workarounds. So who else love to leave their comfort zone? Only as I said, only out of 100, 1 or 2 people will love to leave their comfort zone and adopt a change. So this is the main reason, that if the stakeholders from the customer side being the part of UAT, not only the signing authority for the UAT or giving the quality gate for the next phase, if the stakeholder will sit in the UAT, then I think it will make a bigger impact.
Yeah, I agree. I can agree with this thought, because I've seen like we all are working with multiple companies, so I've seen those companies where leadership is involved directly into the discovery sessions, into the UAT sessions, into the training sessions. The directors themselves are involved in the process. It takes a very short time to implement it, because the team has the pressure from the leadership. Also, because so for the discovery, let's talk about the discovery first. So when discovery happens, so if I were supposed to take the information or discover the entire module from that particular HOD or the person who is supposed to use, he or she might just tell me about his role, about what he or she does very precisely and very, narrow mindedly. But if a director or leadership is involved in the process, they can just tell they can just tell us about, this is what my team is doing right now, but this is where we have to be. So the vision matters, the goal matters, and it can only be assessed when the leadership is involved directly into the discovery sessions and into the into the UAT and the training sessions, and that adds a pressure to the employees that they need to get it
Get it done.
tested, they need to get it comfortable with it. So I can agree, but what are your thoughts on so the people who are trying to adopt this change, and are willing to to learn more about what this new software can do, and they are willing to leave their comfort zone, but also they have a fear of because it adds a transparency layer. It tells exactly that what are you doing, where are you going, what time are you doing it at. So all the under the table activities are just cannot happen anymore. So do you think this is also the reason of people hating ERP?
Yeah. In some context, you can say yes. People, it is linked to the people who are not going to adopt the change. That this statement is associated with them. That they have a job insecurity. The one who is going to jump out of his comfort zone and adopt the change, he knows what ERP holds for it.
Yes.
The transparency and the Excel work which he is doing is going to minimize. And he is going to see the real-time reporting. He don't need to do, or he or she don't need to compile the data from everywhere and prepare a graph. You prepare analytic. All the software is giving you the analytic based embedded analytics in the real time. Excel is not going to give you the real time integration or real time. You are working in a silos. If I want to see against which good reset this accounting entry has been created, I need to email them, or I need to call them manually to ask them about the accounting entries and about the good reset note. But in ERP, you are allowed to track in the real time.
Yes.
So one of the benefit is that ERP is that it gives you the real time analytics, real time results, and you can within a blink of an eye, you get what you needed.
Yes.
Every kind of information is on your single screen.
Definitely. Now let us talk about a few challenges of the processes, a few system related challenges, and what goes behind those processes and behind those meetings. So I've seen a few organization chasing the perfection at the very initial moment. So they want everything, like they're not digitalized as of yet. But when they would like to implement ERP, they would like to just implement it everywhere. They need the entire organization to be on the ERP, and they try to probably over restrict or they try to be over strict about how the ERP should be implemented and how the user should use it, which makes it probably more frustrating for the employee, because from not using an ERP to using the ERP, which is very restrictive, this is probably that builds the frustration. So like what are your thoughts on this?
In real time, people hate ERPs also. But for why? Because their workarounds, they are the people who are on the foreground, they know the realities.
Yes.
You can say on the shop floor, people know the realities. Management said this is the standard ERP practice, you need to follow this. But on the foreground, the economical factors. These are in the changing environment, the factors are affecting the standard processes. So you are not allowed to do the workaround. But for that, we also need to keep in mind the business requirement. So that's why the requirement gathering with the scenario based in the past is very important. That you know the scenario that user has to face. You know the workaround. ERP is also giving you the workarounds, but in a limited way.
Yes.
Yeah, in a standardized way where you can do the workarounds. All workarounds should not be acknowledged. There should be a priority metrics which workaround which should be the benefit the users. Okay, so the workarounds, if we go for the I have seen the user in my previous implementations that they ask for out of 10 workarounds. So we have questioned why 10. We have prioritized that workarounds. You can say the developments out of the standard practices.
Yes.
So 80% of the developments are categorized as low impact. Only the 20% have the high impact.
Yes.
So if I take that 20% as a user benefit, what the user will get? That yes, my take is also being taken, that the process is going to be as per the business. When the business will hit, if any economical factor will hit, that I will use this workaround. So I have a chance. So user involvement and their needs need to be focused.
Yes.
In the ERP implementation.
So leadership needs to understand that on day one you should not chase the accuracy, you should not chase the perfection. However, you should be flexible around it. You should accept a few workarounds at least in the beginning, just to get used to it, just so that your employees get used to it, and then later on you can just improve it with the passage of time. So wonderful. Again, one important probably one of the last topic would be the trust of employees on the system. Like, is it something that also adds the impact of using or not using the ERP? Because a few people thinks that this ERP is not doing that level of accuracy that I can achieve. So do you think that data accuracy and results and the trust on the system is an important factor?
Trust is one of the important factor. But the thing that when I have seen that as per my past experiences, I have seen when the implementation starts, it's not the failure of data accuracy of ERP. It's basically 80% implementation needs business re-engineering process. They are not using the standardized processes what it's supposed to be. So business re-engineering is one of the main which organization should opt, that data accuracy or operational efficiency will only reflect when you enter the correct data. When you reflect, it is the terminology or phrase that garbage in, garbage out. So you can say the scrutinized data should be entered in the system to see the correct reflection, correct financial impact on the implementation, that what management want, ERP is implemented. Now I want the ROI return on investment. But no, with approx 2 years needed to be stabilize the ERP system to adopt the change, the user should be stabilized and they know in which scenario what we need to do, how we need to cater the factors affecting the ERP standard processes. When your system is standardized, you will get the true reflection of the pictures. You should give the time.
Right. So, I mean, trust comes with the passage of time and when you put the right data. So, let's talk about a few solutions. If you could tell us about a few experiences of yours on how as a consultant we can make the life of an employee easier by implementing an ERP in a way that they do not hate the ERP, but rather they take it as their companion. So if you have any story or any experiences.
Like I have been with a great journey of implementation. Many implementation journey I have seen the failures and up and down and the haphazard and a very smooth journey also. So that is in a very structured manner. I will share that they have started with their business process re-engineering phase. So once the business decided for any project implementation, whether it's ERP or any other software, first do your gap analysis internally. Gap analysis is very important. If you are done with your internal gap analysis, you know your improvement areas, you know your gap areas, you know your fit to standard areas. So when you are opting any ERP, first do business process reengineering, then give the scenario based training time. List down your scenarios and give it to consultant from the very first day. Your pain points and your gap, scenario should be handed over to customer like implementation partner. For what? If you have given them the scenario, they will test them. Basically they need to get the UAT clear on the basis of that scenario. You need to prepare that scenario list, and so the functional user testing is already done by the consultant. So it is one of the main. And to make ERP better for user, we need to train them. And there is also, I have as per my past experience, when you involve everyone in the project and you listen to everyone, I have seen they are the foreground of what they did. The management decided to do a presentation in the auditorium with all the audience, and they congratulate them that you are going to be the part of one of the biggest transformation of the world, ERP. So this boosts up the courage of the users. So what they, yeah, I am being recognized for what I am doing. And at every milestone, the organization was giving their users a small reward, a small certificate of appreciation.
To motivate them. I agree. Like this could be one of the acts that leadership could take to get it sink in for the users. What other things that they should do specifically for the users, so again they adopt the ERP better? So if you could just tell us probably 3 to 5 points of what a good leadership do when it comes to make it easier for their employees.
Prepare themselves, give knowledge that you are going to train for the one of the best world ERPs, and you are recognized by internationally and nationally at each level. If you will learn this, or if you will you have an opportunity to operate this software, you are being recognized internationally. Leaders should share their vision clearly with the users or the stakeholders involved in the project implementation. That this is our vision. We need to achieve this, and you are going to are one of the main part of this transformation. So leadership should take the steps for that, hiring the implementation partner with keeping in view all these stakeholders. Basically, I have seen that ERP implementation is taken as the IT project, not as the business project.
Yes.
When the user call it as IT project, ERP is basically a value addition project. It includes value chain product. It is going to streamline your operations and all the department in a one platform. So you need to understand the pros and cons of its implementation at the earlier stages. So these are the points which management should take and hire the proper guidelines, or PMO project management offices should be built, and the their job description should be properly described. And one thing more I want to add, that a dedicated user who is not overburdened with the business activity, day-to activities. And one more point that I have seen, you say that internationally ERPs are more successful. As if I talk about the specific region, like we are in the Asian countries, so here the most you can say the dollars of software are being utilized by the underskilled operators. Why? There is a difference between skilled and unskilled, right? The skilled one knows when he is using the ERP, he knows when I put the wrong transaction in that, it will create impact in the accounting entries, in the analytics, which my management is going to say. An unskilled worker don't know that what impact it's going to create. He knows this is my activity. I have I have 50 per 100 words per minute, and I have to enter the data. So that's the biggest failure. We need to put the skilled employees on the ERP software and don't take it as just a data entry software.
I agree. Wonderful advices from your side. Any final note for the organization who are planning to implement ERP in their organization?
Plan ERP digital transformation, whether it's SAP, Odoo, Oracle, or Dynamics. Plan yourself in a structured manner. List down your needs, clear your vision, and share it with your team members. And the job description for each stakeholder should clearly be decided at the initial phases.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the insights, Andleeb. That was very helpful. And thank you so much, viewers, for watching this episode. ERP is not just an IT project. It's a digital transformation of your company. It decides how your company will operate in future. So do your gap analysis, prepare your employees to have this, to be the part of this digital transformation journey with you. And just decide your goals and vision before you even call an ERP company. Then choose your ERP partner and ERP very wisely. And obviously, do not chase the perfection in the very beginning of the journey. And afterwards, you can just improve it. So gap analysis, requirement gathering, setting your vision, encouraging your employee to be the part of this digital transformation, and as a leaders, your involvement in the process, and then the training. So this is what we have heard from Miss Andleeb about how can you make an ERP a success, and how can you make your employee love working with your new ERP instead of just running away from it. So I believe that's it from today's podcast. If you like this episode, please do let us know in comments. And if you would like us to discuss a few specific things on this podcast, please do let us know and hit the like button. Thank you so much for being with us till now.